I have to ask you, you work for Fox News and it has a reputation. Whether you lean one way or the other way, everybody has an opinion about Fox News. But if you were to describe Fox News, how would you describe it, the work that Fox News does and tries to do?
I think when it started in 1996, there was a feeling on the part of Rupert Murdoch, who's the head of News Corp, and Roger Ailes, who's the head of Fox News, that there was a part of the community that wasn't being served, that there was a kind of liberal tilt to the so-called mainstream media, whether it's the three major networks, whether it's a lot of the national newspapers like the New York Times or the Washington Post, and that there was part of the story that wasn't being told. So we're not saying we're not only going to tell the other part of the story, it's that we're going to tell the whole story, both sides of it. And that is where Roger Ailes developed the slogan, fair and balanced.
Do you think that some of the critiques out there from that, what you call the more liberal side of the news industry, is wrong? Do you think all of that critique is inaccurate?
I think that people have to distinguish in Fox News between a lot of our news programming, especially during the day. I like to think especially Fox News Sunday. I defy anybody to watch our show and watch what I have done in interviews with Marco Rubio or Carly Fiorina or Rick Santorum, three of the candidates for president, and say, boy, we're really pushing a Republican agenda. I think they fail to distinguish between all of that on the one hand, which I think really is pretty straight, and our programming at night, which I would compare to the op-ed page, the columnists, the opinion page of a newspaper, O'Reilly, Hannity. They are conservative, openly so, tilting conservative, but I don't think that's what all of Fox News is about.
If you look at the public discourse today, especially in the United States, I mean, obviously the political world is very polarized, but that also filters into the media world. So you have, people who would never watch Fox News, you have people that only watch Fox News, but if you look at that discourse, the way things are discussed in the public forum today, what do you think is lacking? What's the biggest thing that's lacking there?
Kindness, trust. No, it's true. I mean, first of all, social media. I mean, I do my show and we make very clear what our website is, and I will get emails after the show. Some of them are very nice and very intelligent and very supportive, but some of them are so mean about me, mean about panelists, mean about the guests, and there doesn't seem to be much kind of open-mindedness and willingness to see both sides of the discussion. And the kind of antipathy to Fox News, my gosh, you've got three networks, you've got a lot of newspapers. With all of that left tilting opinion out there, is it so scary to have one network which is presenting, I like to think, both sides of the story, but even if the critics are right, the other side of the story. My feeling is let 1,000 flowers bloom. There's so many sources of information on the internet, on television, in newspapers. Let people have access to all of it so they can make up their minds.
If you were to give a piece of advice to news consumers about what they tune into, what they read, what they don't, maybe, what would you say?
Well, I think you have to be much more discerning. I think you have to be an educated consumer, because there's so much stuff out there that is just wrong. I mean, say what you will about Fox News. There's an editorial process. I don't just get on the air and say whatever I want. There are people above me editing it. There are executives above them. One of the things that worries me is you have some of these internet sites and you don't know if it's a legitimate news organization or it's some guy in his pajamas in his mother's basement who's just opining about the world. So I think you have to be more educated and more discerning and more kind of critical, maybe even skeptical about what you're seeing, and to test it out. And one of the joys is there are so many competing sources of information. I mean, people will come up to me sometimes and say, oh, such and such, some crazy theory. Obviously, because I work at Fox, a lot of it is terrible things that Obama's doing. Turns out it's just not true. And I think, when you hear something that, boy, that just is outrageous, maybe check it out to see whether or not it is reality. And that's true for the right towards the left and true for the left towards the right.
Right.